Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Jett Giving Fund Accessible Vehicle webinar. So I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Julia Claire. I'm the Community Programs Coordinator. And on our call, we also have Maura Carroll, who's the Director of Development. We have Alexa Tinsley, who's the Director of Community Engagement. And then we have Eric Schneider, who is our Executive Director. So the goal of this webinar today is to give you information and tools on how to apply for this coming year. And then I just want to go over at the bottom of the screen, we have two buttons. So we have the chat button that you guys can write in. And then we also have the Q&A, which is for the questions at the end, but we're going to use the chat feature right now. So if you guys could each write where you're from, and then also if you've applied to the Jett Giving Fund before. So we're just going to wait a few minutes while other people log in. So if you don't mind doing that, that'd be great.
Julie, can you enable the chat feature, please?
All right, all set.
All right, everybody, now you should be able to chat in those answers.
Awesome. I'm so sorry about that. All right, perfect. Okay. So I think more people, awesome. Okay, so as we're getting more people in, so I just want to go over again. So if you just joined us, if you could click on the chat button below and click on where you're from and if you've applied to the Jett Giving Fund before. So I just want to go over us again. So my name is Julia Claire. I have Maura Carroll. There we go. Julia Claire. I'm the Community Program Coordinator with Alexa Tinsley, who's the Director of Community Engagement, Maura Carroll, who's the Director of Development, and Eric Schneider, who is our Executive Director. Okay, so this I am going to be, oh no, go back, Alexa, real quick. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to be your go-to person for this application process. So anything you guys need, fundraising, Maura and I will help you with that one through the coordination and the delivery of your vehicle. So we'll be here every step of the way, so you can ask any of us any questions. And then we're also going to have a Jett Giving Fund email at the end of this webinar that we'll keep up for you guys to write down. And then any specific Jett Giving Fund questions will go towards that email. Next slide.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm Maura, the Director of Development here at Jett Foundation. And this slide just wanted to share with you a little bit for those of you that may not be familiar with Jett Foundation. We were founded in 2001 by a mom whose son was diagnosed with Duchenne at age 5. So over the last 20 years, we have grown immensely. And this is one of the programs that has grown. We started this in 2017. Some of the other programs that we have, a Camp Promise across the country. We have support groups monthly, and we have educational webinars and workshops throughout the year. But this program in particular was started in 2017 when our founder was actually on a GoFundMe page, or she was on GoFundMe in general, and she did a Duchenne search, and there were hundreds of families affected by Duchenne that were all fundraising for an accessible van, and many of them were not reaching their goal. So what she wanted to do, and what we've been continuing to do since 2017, is really partner with families for them to fundraise in their own networks and communities, and then Jett Foundation would partner with them and fundraise all year as well, so that we can get those vans to families who need them most. So yes, over the last years, we've given $3.2 million to 55 plus families all over the country. Glad you're all here today.
Awesome. Okay, so this is our timeline. So our application opens up on January 4th, and it does close on February 17th. So I just want to mention that even though it is just no paper, it is fully online, you can save and resume it and to continue it later. So if you are going through it and you realize that you need to get one more quote, or you need to get your diagnosis or anything like that, there is a save and resume button at the bottom of the application. So I would recommend saving that, but then you only have 30 days to finish that for it to save. So once you start it, just make sure, I don't want you to lose all your hard work in the meantime. So just make sure once you start, you get it done within a reasonable time period, just so you don't lose any of that information. And then applications do close on February 17th, and then applications will be notified on March 17th. So in the meantime, once you do submit your applications, we do have everything will be blinded, and we have a decision committee, which will be talked about later on, to go through all the applications. And then I just want to mention as well that fundraising does start late March. So even before you do apply, just to think of different fundraising ideas, different fundraisers, get a team behind you, have family members or close friends or neighbors, anybody that can help you, because this is it's not an easy task, right? So we just want to make sure you have a large team behind you that will make you successful in this application, this journey in the Jett Giving Fund. And then also one more thing, it's not a rolling application. So this is only open once a year. So if you do want to submit an application, make sure you get it in by February 17th. Next. Awesome. So this is our minimum eligibility requirements. So you just want to make sure that all of these are checked off when you are doing this application, because anything that we are missing, unfortunately, it will not be considered complete. So you just want to make sure that you have all of these done. So I'll just go through them. So you need to be a USA citizen. So like I said earlier, a letter from physician verifying Duchenne diagnosis. So this will be good to have ahead of time. So when you do get to that drop link, you can just throw it in there instead of having to wait to get it. The application must be completed in full by February 17th deadline. You must commit to fundraising or raising 50% or more of the cost of the vehicle. And then all fundraising efforts must adhere to our fundraising guidelines, which we will talk later on, and Maura will cover that. You must demonstrate need in your application. So by need, we mean financial need, your current day-to-day routine, conditions of your current vehicle. So you can go further into detail on the application as well, just to explain your whole story. And then in detail, you can say why this vehicle would improve the quality of your family's lives. And then must have exhausted all options from your insurance, including appeals. So another thing would be good to look at would be there's also grants and waivers that you could look into even before applying. So they have them in different counties, different cities. It just depends on where you live. But we do have I believe it's a grant and a waiver resource we have that we can send to you guys as well. We have some of the states, maybe not all of them, but at least we do have a few to get you started. And then the last, one more, quotes of vehicles must be requested from a vendor who is certified. So what it means by this, there's two different ways. So you can either go a new route or a pre-owned route. If it is a pre-owned vehicle, we do ask for it to be certified pre-owned. So what this means is that all certified vehicles go through a multi-point inspection. So just so we know that your vehicle is in excellent condition and can last throughout the lifetime, well, for many years to come. And the last thing is must be in need of an accessible vehicle only. This fund cannot assist with any other types of equipment or vehicle loans. So we just have to make sure that you don't have any, you won't put in already for a vehicle, or you don't need like a down payment or anything like that. This is with just strictly going into buying a new or used vehicle. Perfect. Okay. So before you apply, so we will need 3 different vendor quotes from accessible vehicles. So what this means is, so 3 quotes is considered if you go to a site or you talk to someone online or see it online and talk to someone over the phone. So it'll have to have the vendor's information at the top and then your family's information. So it'll have everything detailed listed out of the cost of the vehicle, the conversion cost of everything just laid out for us. We won't accept screenshots. So just make sure you have in full all of those quotes. And then we do need to have these 3 quotes at least from 2 different vendors. So what that means is just one from one company, one from another. You can have 2 from one from another, just to make sure they're not 3 all from the same exact vendor. Also, a thing to note is if it's a new vehicle, it already should have the 36,000 mile warranty. But if it is pre-owned, it should have that with the safety inspection or the multi-point inspection will have a warranty on it specifically. And then if you do get a brand new conversion, you just need to make sure that the conversion and the lift have the 36,000 mile warranty as well. So that's something to keep an eye out for. And then the last thing is the physician letter verifying Duchenne diagnosis. So just make sure that you have this before applying. It just makes it easier when you get to that link just to drop it in. Oh, and I also want to mention that the 3 quotes also determine the amount that you're awarded. So it's important to find quotes that fit your needs. And then the application process. So this is the URL, which is not working yet. So once applications are open, the application process, you will be able to click this link and it'll bring you right there. And then once again, in January, it'll be opening up the 4th and closing on the 17th. And just make sure that there's no paper versions. Everything must be online. So once again, if you do have trouble finishing all that day, just go to the bottom, click save, resume later, and then make sure it is within that 30-day window, just to make sure you don't lose any of the hard work that you already put into it. And then incomplete applications will not be considered. So we just want to make sure that you have the 3 quotes, once again, stating your family's name, the vendors, all their information, and then just make sure it's from 2 different vendors as well. So the 3 quotes and 2 different vendors. And then this is Maura.
Fundraising, love to talk about fundraising. So one thing about this program, you know, that it is not a van gifting program. It really, like we talked about, it's a partnership. So Jett Foundation is partnering with families that are accepted into this program. We'll fundraise half the funds of the van, and so will the individuals in the program. It takes a lot of work. I see that Perlita's on the call listening in. She's a family member that had participated in the program and can certainly attest to that. You know, reaching out to Rotary clubs, churches, your community, you know, that's how we can get it done. We do ask that all funds be raised through Jett Foundation's approved fundraising platform, and that's we will create that for you and with you when you're accepted into the program. So, you know, so it'll be on our website, and we'll be able to work with you. And we talk a little bit about that, of getting your bio and a photo of your family. But we do ask that all funds go through our fundraising platform. Offline donations must include name, address, phone number, email address, so that we make sure any donations that come in for an individual's van goes directly to that family. So that's why it's really important to have those checks addressed and include name of the participant. And participants have access to fundraising tools and support. So we will, you know, Julie meets with families pretty regularly. So will Eric and I, happy to share, and, you know, with other families too. We sometimes do webinars to share tips and tricks that have worked for other families over the years. So there is a lot of tools available, and we are happy to work with you on that. When you are applying, there are some questions in the application. We're just looking for you to demonstrate a path to fundraising. You know, so most of these vans cost, you know, if you have one child with Duchenne, it's $50-some thousand. So to raise $25,000 takes a lot of work. Lemonade stands are great, bake sales are great, but that's a lot of lemonade to sell. So make sure that you're exploring all of your options. But again, it's a true partnership, and we're here to help you. We know it's a lot of work, but you know, we want to just help fundraise so that you can get your vans as soon as possible. That's everything.
And I do just want to say that, you know, vans do vary in terms of cost, and, you know, awards amounted. So just be prepared for what that may look like.
Right. And to that point, I think I saw somebody in the chat mention they have 2 children with Duchenne. So certainly that you're going to requires a larger van and that cost. So that's why the quotes that we're asking you to get in the beginning helps identify what your award will be, or what the price range is, so that we can, you know, figure it all out together.
I think this is me. Thank you, Maura, and good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Eric, the Executive Director. So how do we decide, and when will you be notified? Yeah, I get the luxury here of talking about probably the hardest part of this entire process from the perspective of Jett, is really selecting a family or an individual. I would say every single person that's on this call is deserving of a accessible vehicle. That's why you're here, and it makes our job incredibly difficult to go through that process, having done it myself now for several years. But in to summarize how we go about doing that, we have a committee that's formed. We have board members, we have committee members, we have staff members, as well as some individuals from the community, all come together to form a committee that reviews every single one of our applications. When an application comes in, it has an amazing amount of information in it, right? But we don't see any personal information. It's all blinded. So when we review, we don't know where you live, where you come from. The only thing that we're going to look at is how much detail that you're able to put into an application so that we can try to understand exactly what your family or what you are going through as an individual with Duchenne. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you really to display in detail really what's going on day to day in your household and why this accessible vehicle is important for you or your family. So we once we narrow that list down, we have a selection, and once accepted, we will reach out. Our leadership team at the Jett Foundation, a few of us will reach out and grab a call, then any email will go out and let you know whether you're into the program. And then we will follow up with a call. And it's usually an informational call that sort of just describes everything that goes on with the program, and also an award amount that we have deemed for your family or the individual that applied. And the reason why there's an award amount is we know when you put in your application on the front end, so come February, you put an application in, you have 3 quotes. You're generally not going to probably see a van for several months later because there's fundraising that needs to happen. So those prices may vary. So what we do based on doing this for several years, we sort of know what makes sense for a family of 3 with 1 child with Duchenne. We kind of know what that cost is going to be, and we want you to understand what the cost is as well. So if there's 2 children, we sort of have been doing this long enough where we can say, okay, that's going to cost roughly $75,000. That's what we're going to award. So you have a clear understanding of how much funding that you're going to have to raise. And we have a true understanding of exactly what we are going to do to help you get to that goal. So those award letters go out on March 17th. I believe we've said that a few times now. And if there's any delay, we will let the community know prior. If it would be a day or 2, but nothing longer than a day or 2 beyond that March 17th date. You'll notice, again, notified by email first, and then we follow up soon thereafter. Again, the best thing to do is to start working on application information now so that you have it all prepared to get into the system. It's a long process in terms of filling out information and applying, but it gives you the best possibility to make sure you get everything done in that month window. I said we see generally success stories coming in the second quarter of the new year. In that June, July, August time is when we see, the first vehicles being awarded. And I will say supply chain has slowed down. Vehicles are very difficult to find in some cases. So the quicker we're in and getting the fundraising done, the more exciting time is like, let's see what we can find for vehicles out there. And Julie herself does a ton of work with all of our families and individuals trying to locate vehicles that fit the needs of the applicant. So I think that wraps it up for my piece, and I will pass it back over to Julie, I believe.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so after you are accepted, So approve your fundraising page and bio. So basically, once you are accepted, you'll be working with our marketing team, so Zach and Gabby, and they'll work with you on helping. You'll be sending us a family picture or a picture of boys, girls, however you want the picture to be on the front of your fundraising page. So like your family photo, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to have your bio. So they're going to write it up for you. So that's going to be an individual page that link, you can send it out to your friends, your family. You can post it on Facebook, social media, make flyers. We can have a QR code, but everything reverts back to that link. So that'll have the picture, the bio, and the link with it. And then the next thing is the mandatory check-in. So I will be meeting with you bi-weekly throughout this whole process. So I usually send a link and you tell me what date and time you're available and just like plug it in. So it takes it away from someone else so they can't double book. So I'll be working with you every step of the way from start to finish. So you'll be hearing from me a lot. So yes, so just prepare for those if you are accepted. And then, so we are making a Facebook group as well. So this is just for us to stay in contact with you and you to get support from fellow 2023 participants. So you can all join it. You can share your flyers, what different fundraising events you guys are doing just to help each other, bounce ideas back and forth from each other, because sometimes it's hard to think of an idea, right? So it's good to bounce it off of the team or a community that's going through it or already has been through it. The changes to quotes and goals. So this is important because we know that once you send in those goals, obviously it's not, quotes, it's not concrete. So as time goes on in your fundraising and say you got a vehicle for a Toyota Sienna and you loved it. By the time you raise your fundraising amount by say June, July, August, or in that range, or however it takes you to fundraise that, the means or the goal, we know that vehicle might be off the lot, might be sold already. So I will work with you to make sure if you did like that vehicle, see if it's still available, or we can go back, work with other vendors just to see if we can get an updated quote of another vehicle that fits your family. And then just maintaining communication with Jett. So just from start to finish, we would just love, highly recommend for you to keep in contact with us just so we can help you every step of the way. From start to finish. So I will be checking with you bi-weekly. So it'll be best to, because they are mandatory check-ins, but I will help you with fundraising ideas. If you do need ideas for flyers, if you have an event, you can send it my way and myself or our marketing team can create that flyer for you. And just different ways to give we can bounce feedback on and off each other. So we just highly recommend staying in communication with us. And then I also do send monthly check-ins as well with either graphics you can use for that month or updates of what's going on in the Jett Giving Fund or if somebody reached their goal. So we can all celebrate together. So you will be receiving those monthly from me as well on top of the bi-weekly check-ins. And then the next one. Awesome. So this is the rest of our team. So as I mentioned already, Zach and Gabby are marketing. So you will be working with them for the most part. But then here's our other lovely faces on the Jett staff. But we will be working with you every step of the way throughout this whole journey. If you guys need anything at all, feel free to reach out. Like I said, any specific Jett Giving Fund questions, we would love for you to put in the email. The email that'll be on the next slide. But we do hope that you do join us for other programs and events in the future as well. Awesome. And then this is our email that I mentioned earlier. So if you do have any questions regarding the Jett Giving Fund, we do recommend you emailing us. That is the best way of communication. And once we do get the email, we will try our hardest and to respond within the 48-hour window. But yes, so anything that has to do with the program or the application, highly recommends you reaching out to this email because that is the easiest way for us to reach back out to you because we know it's all consolidated in this one email just about Jett Giving Fund. So we look at that every day. So that'd be awesome. So yeah, so now we're going to open up the Q&A. If you do have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box that is below. I know a few of you have been putting in the chat, so if you don't mind copying and pasting that into the Q&A, if it's a specific question, that would be awesome. And then we can just go ahead and answer any questions.
All right. So which vans are preferred? We have 2 boys, so a typical van may not be big enough. Julie, I think you are.
Yep. You said 2 boys?
Correct.
Okay. So I don't know what information I already know on it, but so what I know coming from experience. So as typical, say Toyota Sienna or a Dodge or something like that might be too small for 2 boys. And say 2 wheelchairs. If you did fit 2 power chairs in there, there might be not room for anything else, I would say. So usually with 2 boys, we do recommend going towards the Ford Transits because it gives you more room. It gives you rooms for the lifts, any baggage or anything that you need to bring with you. So we will be working with you on that. And then when you do put that you have 2 individuals affected by Duchenne on the application, we do look at that. We know immediately that you will need a larger van, and we know that is more costly. So we do take that into consideration. So we usually will look at more of the Ford Transits or the bigger vehicles with 2 or 3 boys.
And then Perlita, I will answer this question. Currently, this application is not in Spanish. It's something that we're looking at for the future, but at this time it is not. How many applications are approved each year?
Eric, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that. It generally is it comes down to finances on Jett Foundation, but I would say on average, we're around 10 vehicles a year. There has been times when we've been up to as much as 14. But what we've seen over the past few years is much like everything around right now is cost escalation. So, and it's very difficult to get those vans. Amazon's having too good of a couple of years here. They've swallowed up all the transits that are out there. What I will say is I'll emphasize your application, really making sure that you present the need, but additionally we look at immediate need. That's going to weigh heaviest when we're looking at all of the applications. So if there's an immediate need, like right now, not several months or half a year or a year later, where there's going to be something that's going to be a problem for your family. So really focus on that immediate need. When we're looking at that, we can only look at what's on those applications and try to get an understanding. So if you can display the immediate need, that's going to be really important.
And then how many applicants typically? It ranges from year to year. But last year we had 38 complete applications. What do you mean about exhausting insurance options appeals? Can you explain that further?
Yeah, I can take that one. So basically, if you go, there's other ways to go out through your insurance, right? So you can ask for the power chairs and all that, but there is, I think, ways where you can ask about like grants or waivers towards the conversion piece. I'm not totally sure insurance wise about the vehicle itself, but it is something to look into. But I know the conversion piece, I don't know about specifically insurance, but there's grants and waivers out there that I would look into if you can't find anything through the insurance, but they do have different county waivers, city waivers, state waivers that can help towards the conversion piece of it. So we do highly recommend that you looking for those first, because say that is 25 to 30,000 right there. That's 25 to 30,000 off the fundraising that you have to do. So we highly recommend you looking at those waivers and grants. And then trying those as much as possible, seeing if you can get one, but that also includes under like the waivers from insurance and all that. But I can't specifically specify insurance, but I know the waivers and the grants are a big program that you should look into as well.
Yeah, and that's dependent on state too. So there are some states that don't offer conversion waivers, but some do. Another question, is age a factor? My son is 41. Age is not a factor, it's about need. So it's based off of need, not age. We actually do blind that if you put that in your application. So age, name, where you're from, all of that is actually redacted. So we're basing it solely off of need.
Yeah, and I could just add, that need can be based off of, ambulation, that need is based off of, your financial situation. If you currently have a power chair and no way to get it to and from school or to a doctor's appointment, put that in your application. If you're anticipating, losing ambulation in the next year and a half, that might not weigh as heavily on our application, but we're really looking at, the financial need and specifically the day-to-day daily life, if you're not able to get to school or get to a doctor's appointment, those types of things. If you don't have a safe vehicle currently, you have one that can kind of get you there, but it's not safe, put that all in your application. And that's really what we're reading.
And we did accept an individual that was older into our program this year. So it definitely is not based on age.
I think, was there a question about what are the, oh, I think you already answered the question about preferred.
Yeah. And then just so everyone knows, there was another question that was answered. There is not a set timeline. We do prefer to deliver vans in the 2023 year. We want to get these vans to you. We want to make sure that you get in this van as soon as possible. That is not always the case, but that is our goal.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, that is our goal too, to make these timelines shorter and shorter. You know, so far, Jett Foundation has been able to come in right away as soon as families have reached their 50% goal without any delay. So, you know, there have been times where families, you know, within 2 or 3 months have raised their funding, and we can go out there very quickly and find that van. So it is, you know, a lot of it does come down to fundraising. So, you know, really taking that into consideration, you know, what you can imagine a path to raising that half, you know, building your community, building your network, reaching out to churches, Rotary clubs, companies in your area to help make those timelines shorter and get you these vans as soon as possible.
Can a nonprofit donate the half that is owed by a family?
Eric, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, we have partnered over the years with various nonprofits in order to help families get to their goal. We're happy to accept funding from nonprofits as it goes through Jett Foundation. We then will, you know, apply it to the family. So as long as it's paid direct to Jett, we will make that work and make sure that family is able to get their vehicle.
Awesome. And I did see one other one that says, I have 3 children with Duchenne. The lowest for a new van to fit all 3 of us is about 85,000. Is that amount too high? So I would say in this,
Eric did answer this.
This one. Okay.
Yeah, if selected, we will work with you to get a quote and make sure that, you know, we get you the vehicle that your family needs.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I would just emphasize we have an idea of a cost for one individual. We have an idea of a cost for 2, and we also have an idea for a cost of 3. So if you're accepted in, we already know that going into the process, and we'll be working with you to make it happen. And we will. So don't let that scare you.
And Eric, I'm going to give you this question because I know we have this often. We can sell our current vehicle and use that money as a down payment, correct?
Yeah, I think the tricky part there is just making sure that you're not without transportation, that it's not as easy as it has been in past years locating vehicles. So if there's a vehicle located and you can time that and use your funding, that's great. What we try to do is we're trying to have the community come together to support you, to help you get a vehicle, not for you to incur more cost and strain financially on your family. That's most important to us, is that we're able to, you know, we're matching to get you to get you there. And we don't want you to really be writing checks out of your own bank account to make this happen. So you know, I would steer away from that. But if you have a vehicle currently and you're looking to, you know, sell one because you're going to use one that you're going to be getting, then that makes sense to me. I just would hate to see you, you know, going into a savings account or things of that sort. That would be something that we would have, you know, much more conversation about.
And I think maybe to go back to one of the other questions about, you know, whether it's a nonprofit or any other funding that you have, if you have had a GoFundMe page, if you already have saved a certain amount of money, you know, all that, please put into your application. You know, if you have several organizations that you're working with that have already said that they're going to fund you, you know, if you have a lot of resources, I think that's also important to include in your application. We do ask that all the funding does go through the Jett Foundation website. That's also too, because we give a, you know, tax deduction. We're a 501c3. It's a donation to our organization. So having all of those funds go through the Jett Giving Fund page so we can thank everyone properly. It's all kind of part of the process. That makes sense.
Right, so I don't see any more questions right now. Okay, but if you do have any questions, hold on. What if grandma, or poor Lita, what if grandma wants to give a big amount to help? Is that allowed? Yes, this is allowed. We highly recommend that. That'd be great. But we do want you to reach out to your community if grandma then wants to come in and give a large amount to close out the rest of your fundraising. That would be awesome if she's willing to do that. Family is always good for helping, friends, neighbors. But yes, if grandma does decide to come in to help with a big amount, yes, that is allowed.
I love grandma.
We should all be so lucky to have grandma.
But yes. Okay, awesome. So I don't see any more questions. So I'm just going to close it out. Perfect. So Alexa. Yeah. So Alexa, just post in the chat the Jett Giving Fund email. So if you do have any questions, please go to that email address, type in any of your questions, and I will be reviewing them as they come in, and we'll answer hopefully within a few hours of receiving it. If not, I do have that 48-hour window. But I just want to thank you guys for coming on to this webinar. Just look for the application opening on the 3rd. If you do have any questions, please reach that email and we'll be here. Oh, sorry, on the 4th. And then if you do have any questions, we are here to help. Just once again, I recommend seeking out the quotes, reaching out to have like a big or a big team behind you to help you with this, because it's not an easy task. So I know if you have a large team behind you and that can support you, that would be amazing. And then everyone can find Perlita on Facebook. Awesome. Okay, everyone, have a great night. Thank you so much for attending.
Well, good night.
Bye.